Hey, what's up? This is going to be a video about why you should apply broadly to a lot of different schools and pretty much, yeah, why I did it and my results from it from applying broadly to a lot of different schools. So like I've said many times now, my MCAT was a 506. My GPA was in the 3.2-ish range for undergraduate GPA, but I did a special master's program at Tulane this past year, and my GPA in that was a 4.0. Had lots of med school courses already in it, medical immunology, medical mycology, medical biochemistry, medical microbiology, like all these courses that are Tulane MD courses that I took this past year. So with that 4.0, I would say it's not just a normal 4.0, it's a 4.0 in med school courses. So they kind of see that too. They're taking that into consideration. I would say I had really strong letter of recommendations. I had 2 med school professors literally in the med school itself of Tulane write me one. And then I had a heart surgeon write me one that really knows me well. I spent a lot of time with him, shadowing him. So I'd say my letter of recs were on the stronger end. Clinical experience, I would say pretty strong as well. I spent a lot of time volunteering in the hospital, Children's Hospital, for the past 2 or 3 years. I have, I have a lot of shadowing experience, probably 300-ish hours and just tons of surgeries, a lot of time in the OR, a lot of time just in and around hospitals. And currently I'm scribing, so I can talk a lot about that. So my clinical experience, I would say, is another stronger part of my application. In my volunteering hours, I would say I have just a number of different volunteering experiences, but some are a little bit more important or more impactful than others. But I would say the amount of hours and the quality of my experiences volunteering are on the stronger end. And the one application or one area of my application that's really lacking compared to most, I would say, is research. So I don't have any research experience. I can interpret research really well because that's what I did for a year in my master's program, but I personally don't have that research experience that I know a lot of MD schools want to see and a lot of other applicants do have. So that's an area of my application I think that is weaker than most. All right, so now getting into the meat of the video. So I mainly focused my stats. Okay, so I got a 506 MCAT, and let's just say for the sake of putting stats out there, I got a 4.0 GPA because that's what my master's GPA was. That is not good for most MD schools. The MSAR average and the average of most matriculated med students is around a 511 for the MCAT and a 3.8 GPA for MD schools. So I based my application around a DO focused application. So I applied to 20 DO schools and 14 MD schools. I applied to all my state schools and then other schools that are out of state friendly that are close and where I want to live too. But mainly DO focused. And it is of this date right now, it is October 21st. And thus far I've gotten answers from 4 different schools and I think 2 or 3 denials. And all these schools, other than four DO schools and 1 MD school thus far, and I applied to 34 total schools. And it's October 21st, so it's kind of later on in the cycle for MDs, not at all early for DOs. But out of 34 schools, I only have heard back from 5 really, and got interviewed by 5 thus far. So just to put that out there, that's a lot of schools that I applied to, but I've only heard back from 5. And just to go to show, that's why you should really, look into applying to a lot of schools, because even if you have your eyes on a certain school, there's no indication that you'll actually get there or get to go there, or they'll pick your application over another one, because this process is really random at times too. So I just wanted to use my example as an anecdote of how I applied to a lot of schools. And yeah, I do have 5 interviews, but I applied to 35 schools. So I don't mind saying the names of the different schools that I got accepted into. So the 4 DO schools are William Carey, VCOM Auburn. Those are the 2 that I've got accepted into thus far. I got denied from RCOM after the interview. And then UIW, which is Incarnate Word, which is in San Antonio, Texas, closer to me. I have that interview January 9th. So that's my 4 DOs thus far. And then the 1 MD interview, I have that in January at Tulane, which is where I did my master's. And I think I got that interview a little bit because of that's where I did my master's, because my stats don't really fit the average of a Tulane applicant. So yeah, I think doing my master's there definitely had helped me at least for that interview. And I don't think I'm expecting any other MD interviews. My stats are on the lower end of competitive for an MD school. So that's just the moral of this story here is apply broadly to a lot of different schools. Have a thorough application, know your strengths, know your weaknesses, be able to talk about your weaknesses when you have them at these schools. And yeah, just apply broadly. That's the main message I want to get out there. You can fill out secondaries and you can use the meat of those prompts. So if you answer one question, you can use the meat of that prompt and fill it out for another school. So I didn't fill out necessarily 34 secondaries. I used my answers and tailored them to each school. So you can do that too. It's going to cost a lot of money, but I think it's worth it. It's better than reapplying. It's better than waiting a whole another year. And yeah. So if you enjoyed this video, subscribe, and I'll be making more shortly. Link to my Instagram down below too. So have a good day.